Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Wendy here from Little Nest Crafts. Thank you for joining me this evening. This video is another in the 100 days of junk journaling ideas, 100 days of junk journaling ideas that's been hosted by Rachel and Bella over at Rachel and Bella Crafts. And for those of you who haven't been following this collaboration, you've missed a treat. You've absolutely missed a treat. It's been running for 12 weeks. Since the 1st of March, and all the designers that are participating, they've been putting a video out every day onto YouTube, all things journal related, and it's been absolutely wonderful. So if you're looking for some inspiration and some ideas for your junk journals, go over to hashtag 100 days JJI and you will see you know, the daily posts and videos that have been released over there. During this 100 days, Rachel and Bella have released 3 new kits. All of them have been on a French theme and they've been absolutely fantastic. The first one was love letters and the second one was a nature themed journal, and then for the last run of the collaboration, we've got this beautiful journal here, and it's all things dressmaking related or sewing related. And I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that word there because my French is abysmal. So yeah, if you're interested in the kits, go over to Rachel and Bella's shop. All the details will be listed in the information box below this video, and I do believe that this kit is discounted for this month, so you'll be getting a good discount there. I'm not sure whether the discount's running on the other 2 kits because they were discounted in April and May, but pop along over to Rachel's Ko-fi page or Rachel and Bella's shop, and you know, you'll see all the kits over there. Also, just before I go to my project, Rachel will be doing a giveaway at the end of the month, and there have been giveaways throughout the collaboration, but she did them on a weekly basis. But this time, for this month, it's going to be at the end of the month, and if you want to be in for a chance to win a prize on the giveaway, if you like and comment on everybody's videos, then your name gets put into the draw. And obviously, if you like what you see and you're kind enough to subscribe to their channel, then please do, because that will help their algorithms in YouTube to get their channels noticed. And that's what the aim of this collaboration is to bring smaller channels, you know, just to give them a boost really and help them get noticed. So I'd be grateful if you would, you know, do that to my channel as well. If you like the videos that I'm producing, then please like and leave me a comment and subscribe if you wish. That would be fantastic. So I'm just going to put those to one side. Now these are my 2 signatures. What I'm going to be doing this month is making a beautiful journal, and on a previous video that I've done, I sorted my papers and these are going to be my signatures. So now I want to start doing some projects to go in it. So this little project here is what I've been doing. Now, the topic for this week, for week 12, is interactive journal elements. And if you'd have watched the previous 2 videos, you'll have seen some elements that I've made previously. And I mentioned in one of my previous videos about a gatefold card, and I hadn't got an example to show you in the 4 journals that I showed in the previous video. So I wanted to make a gatefold project for this video, and this is a little gatefold card, and it looks beautiful on a page. I'll show you now. So, you know, you can put them on any page that you like, and the Rachel's papers are so stunning. It goes with any of the papers that you pick. You know, they're gorgeous. So what I plan on doing is showing you how to make this little project. It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Now this is the second video that I've made to show you this project, because it did go a little bit awry, but that was because I didn't take something into consideration when I did it, and I'll explain to you what that was. But this is the project. As I say, it's little gatefold. I've used a piece of ephemera on the front, and I've decorated the front with a contrasting paper, because that's the paper I chose to put on the main piece. And then as you open it up, this is what happens. You've got sort of two little sliders in there, like a little peekaboo effect in there. So that's what I'm going to show you how to make. So I'll put that to one side as well, and I'll give you the measurements. So you need an A4 piece of card. I'm using 160 GSM, which I'm not quite sure what poundage that is in the States. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, it's 160 GSM, so it's a bit more than copier paper, because obviously you want something fairly substantial, you know, because of the opening and closing of your little project. So get yourself an A4 size sheet, and American size, the letter size sheet will be enough for you on this. The A4 has to be cut down by about 1 inch, because what you need is one piece 11 inches wide by 6 inches in depth. So one piece 11 inches wide by 6 inches in depth, and then you want to score that piece. So I'll get my little scoreboard, and you need to then, with your bone folder or your scoring tool, score it at 1.5 inches and 3.5 inches, and then you turn it round and you score it again, 1.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and then that's that piece scored. And then fold it in and fold this piece back on itself, fold that in along that score line, fold it back on itself, and then using your bone folder, score it and you know, crease it down well so that they're nice and firm. Then you need a second piece of paper, and what I've done is I've used a contrasting print. So if you look, I've got this floral one there, and then I've taken the one with the smaller roses on, and then on this one I did that print, and I used the same on the inside, because what I've done is I've printed on the back. I've used one of the background striped pages on the back of my card. So what you need to do then is get your glue, and you need to glue along this. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of the gun there. So what you need then, you need a piece of paper 3 inches wide, 3 inches in depth, 3 inches in depth by 7 inches wide. 3 inches depth by 7 inches wide. And then same again with your scoreboard. Pop it down and score at 1/2 inch. Turn it round and score at another 1/2 inch. So that's your scoring. That's all the scoring on the project then. You don't need to do any more. And then what we do then, or what I did, this piece here now measures 3 inches. So along this score line, I put a little dot at 1.5 inches. And along this score line here, I put a little dot at 1.5 inches, and then I found the midline. So this piece is 7 inches there, so half of 7 inches is 3.5. So I made a little mark at 3.5 there and brought a little dot in the middle there, and you can't hardly see them, but that just gives you the center of this piece of card. And then what I did then, where the little dot is there, I measured between the little dot on the score line and this little dot in the middle, and found the center, and I put a little dot there, and same from here. I measured from that dot there, and put a little dot in the middle of the card there. And that enabled me then, with my hole punch, and I used my floral shaped or fluted shaped 2-inch hole punch. Now, the lady that I watched do this little project on YouTube is called I don't know what her name is, but her YouTube is Hither and Yon. So I'd like to thank her for the inspiration for this. And what she used was a 1 3/4 inch punch. And the measurements that I'm going to give you for the next pieces will enable you to make this, if you make this aperture here and here 1 3/4 inches. But I hadn't got a circle punch that was 1 3/4. I'd only got a 1 1/4 inch, which would have been far too small for the what I want to put in the background there. So that's why I've had to do 2 videos, because the next piece that I made, that I measured, ended up being the wrong size for these circular, the floral holes that I've made. So if you're going to be using a 1 3/4 inch punch, which will be a bit more straightforward with the next measurement, you need to have a 3rd piece of card, which is 2 inches. So you need a strip 2 inches in height by 10 inches in length. So once you've got your strip, you need to cut it into half and then into quarters, so that it will give you 4 pieces of card. It'll give you 4 pieces of card like this. And these were the pieces that I ended up with initially. I had 4 pieces of card like that. Just ignore the semicircles. And then what I did, I punched out the holes and I fitted them onto my card, but they were too small for this aperture, for this floral aperture. So I'm going to have to now make some new ones that are going to fit in, in this actual project. So just recapping, you need 3 pieces of card, one 11 by 6, one 3 by 7, and then 1 piece of card 2 inches by 10 inches, and you cut it in half, so you've got 2 5 inches by 2 inches, and then you cut both of those in half, so it gives you 4 pieces that will measure 2 inches by 2.5 inches. Okay, so that's where we are up to now. And the next thing I'm going to do is, if you imagine that I've cut my pieces, I'm going to glue this down to the page, which is a slightly different method to what I used before. And what you want to do is find it, make it so that it's central in this section here, between your score lines, between there and there. So you want it roughly in the middle, and pop that down. There we go. Let me just press that down and make sure it's well down. There we go. Lovely. Right, everybody, what I've done is I've cut my strip, and to do this, these are a 2-inch hole punch. So the method is still the same, and I'll show you a little way just in case you want to make your strip wider or on a different measurement card. What I've done is that with my strip, I cut it to, let's have a look. I made 4 pieces that were 2 3/4 for this 2-inch aperture. I've got 2 3/4 by 2 1/2. So I've got 4 pieces like that. And then what I did, I put it on underneath before I'd stamped out the middle aperture, and I made sure that it was wide enough to cover this aperture basically, and attach it to my just before the score line there. Now it won't, because I've punched the hole out, when the aperture opens it'll be like this wide, but when it closes, because I'd cut it to 2 3/4, there will always be a bit of an opening in the middle, which I'm quite happy with, because the gatefold will keep it closed. So that you know that all 4 apertures are going to be the same, what I did then was I took these 2 pieces and then those 2 pieces, and I put them on top of one another like so, and I've drawn a little mark just on the inside with my pencil, and I'm going to make a smaller hole first, and I'll show you what I mean. So initially I'm going to just take a little piece out here, try and get it even, and I'll show you the difference. So when these 2 are open, you've got, let's have a look, you're going to have something like that, where you might see a tiny weeny bit around the edge, but if I made the opening shallower, if I put this one in, where's the score line, and I did that, you're going to see more of the card underneath. Now if you wanted it straight, you can have it straight, where you just have your card that way, if you imagine, and it will open like that. So that would actually stop there being a gap in the middle if you did that, which it looks nice either way, but I don't mind that opening. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So just play around with it, you know, you'll get it to fit your size of aperture and make it suit you. Oops. Now then, what am I doing here? I'm trying to cut through all four of them. I didn't want to do that. So there we go. There we go. So then what we need to do then is get them ready. Just pop them to one side. And then you need to find your ephemera that you want to use to go behind your aperture. So I'm going to have that one, I think. Yeah, because what I've done is I've fussy cut all my ephemera pieces out, so I've only got these two that I haven't fussy cut. So I'm going to use these two, and I'm just going to position it where I want it. Let's have a look. Make sure that we're straight. Excuse me, one moment. I just need to bring it closer to me so that I can see where we're sitting nicely. And if that looks wonky to me, there we go. I think we're okay now. So what I'm going to do then is pop some glue underneath. There we are. And that will hold it in place. And then I'll just come underneath here. There we are. Oops. So that's that. And then we do the same with the other piece. So we'll, there we go. Got buttons and threads. There we are. And then we'll pop that under there like so. And then what you want to do then is just glue along this bottom edge and seal it down onto the edge of your card, making sure that the glue doesn't seep too much on the inside. So I've got my ruler here and I'm just going to pop that inside and just hold that down while I press on it. we go. And just let that dry for a moment. And then we'll start doing the side pieces. So let's have a look. Right. So now then, we're going to pop these 4 pieces in. And what you need to do is glue. What I've done is I've marked the edge of my card here, just with a tiny little bit of pencil mark. And then I'm going to glue this side of the pencil mark just along the bottom there. Try not to put too much on to stop it from spreading everywhere. And then I'm going to pop that in just for a second, like so. And it's just this side of that score line. And I'm just going to get my tweezers because I've got no nails. So just pull it out a little bit. There we go. And then we'll do the same with the other one. So I've got a little pencil mark there. And we'll do the same on this one. And we're going to slide that one in as well. Oops, a daisy. Right, so now try and get them level with each other at the top. And then I'm just going to hold that down. While I close this on top of it. And just press that down for a minute. And let that dry a sec. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Just move that in marginally and pop that down as well. And then what you do is you pull it out really slowly and carefully, because obviously the glue hasn't gone off yet. But as you bring it out, it automatically wants to fold over on your glue line. Let's have a look. No, it needs to. I need to get it to dry a little bit more. So we'll have a look at this side, possibly. No, it's still not dry. There we go. Right, let's have a look now. So I'm just pulling it open really slowly. No, it's still not dry. That's the only thing with colour. You do get some wiggle room. I maybe should have used Beacon 3-in-1. No, I'm going to have to leave it a bit longer and come back. Right, let's have a look to see if it's dry. And yeah, that's better. So when we pull this out, I don't know if you can see, it automatically makes sort of, it follows the line of the glue, and you can make a score line. I'm trying to keep it, oops, sorry about that folks. I'm trying to keep it straight. So let me just get my little ruler. Let's see if I can, because I want it to look straight. There. And then we'll just score that down there. Lovely. And then with my rubber, I'll just take out that little pencil mark that I did. There we go. And then we do the same the other side. So we'll pull that out gently. I'll try and do it slowly so that you can see. And then just score it down like so. Lovely. There we go. And then we do the same with these. So we need to take the other two and pop them just in front of the, just to the inside of the score line there. And the same with this one. Like so. I hope I'm in shot. I keep forgetting to check. So I'll just recap. I've scored along there and scored along there where the glue line was when we opened. And then I'm taking these two pieces and butting them just up to the score line here. And I'm going to use Beacon 3-in-1 this time because that took quite a little while to dry. And try not to put too much on. I'll smooth it out a little bit. And the same on this side. There we go. And then what I want to do is make sure that they're level. You can see that this one's higher up than this one. So I want to push this one up a little bit. Like so. And then try and get them level on both sides. There we go. There we are. Push that one in, press it down, hold that there, push it in and press it down. And hopefully we've only glued on the right areas. And then what I've done then is I've taken another piece of this patterned paper and I've cut along the shaded area there and along the shaded area here to make this piece here. But you've got to make sure that it's wide enough to fit both of your two pieces. And then what I'm going to do is glue these to here. So I'm just going to cut this bottom piece off with my guillotine. So we'll just make a little pencil mark along there, and we'll cut along there. And then the same with this one. We'll cut this piece. Make sure that's level. And cut this piece. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is glue these two front pieces while that's drying. And I'm just going to squish it with my finger. So bear with a minute, just so it doesn't puddle out everywhere. And then I'll get one of my strips, like so. Make sure it's running along that centre line. Any excess I can trim off afterwards. And then the same on this side. Same again, just going to squish it with my finger. You have to be fairly quick with 3-in-1 glue. There we go. There we are. Lovely. And then I'm just going to check on the inside now of this slidey bit. There we are, that's one. And then the same the other side. There. There we are. So that is your aperture card. Your peekaboo aperture project. And then what you can do is you can decorate it up then. You can put some more ephemera pieces on and little butterflies, you know, on the piece. You can add extra ephemera on the outside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my butterfly, I think, as my closure. But first I'm just going to trim, just going to have a look and see. I've got some overhang here. So with my scissors, we shall just trim those excess bits off the bottom there. There we go. There's a tad at the top there, and there is a little bit hanging over this side here, so So we'll trim that as well, although you can't really see that. There we go. I'm going to check that one. There's a little bit on this side too, so we may as well. So it's nice and flush. There we go. So what I'm going to do there is put a butterfly on. Now you want it on the half that you're going to be pulling out like that. So here we go. And I haven't done any inking on this kit so far because I think it's so pretty and so pastel-y that I don't want to use my inks on it, and I'm just going to leave it as is. Whether I do another colour at the end, maybe a pink or something like that, or a blue, very pale blue, I don't know. So, and then what we can do is put some gems or something down the middle there to bling that up a little bit. And so that's it, everybody. Let me just clear the decks so that you can have a proper look. Excuse my arm. And we'll just recap a little bit so that you're not confused. Because I know the bits where it was cutting out part was a bit confusing. So, as I said before, you need 3 pieces of card, one 11 by 6, the other, oh, where did I put the instructions? One second. Right, so you need a 3, sorry, I got interrupted by the phone. You need another piece. So your first piece is 11 by 6, your second piece is 3 by 7, and your third piece is 10 by 2. And with the 11 by 6 piece, you score it at 1.5, score it at 1.5 and 3.5, and then you turn it over and you score again at 1.5 and 3.5. And then you make this piece here in the middle, and that's a piece that's 3 by 7, and you score at 1/2 inch that side and 1/2 inch that side, and you glue along the top and adhere it to the inside of this card. And you do the same at the bottom, but not yet. You don't do the bottom yet. Then you get your ephemera pieces and you glue those down where you want them. And then your 2 inch by 10 inch piece, you cut in half and then you cut in quarters. And this is the piece that varies in size depending on whether you do a 2 inch aperture or a 1 3/4 inch or a 1.5 inch. What I suggest you do is that you do yourself a strip and you make sure that it covers the the aperture that you're going to be using, and that it's long enough to open and close inside, but not too long that you when they're open that you can't see, because if you make them too long they'll just keep closed over the center. I just need to put a bit more glue in here. So, oops, daisy, pop that down there. There we go. And a bit more more down in there. I don't think I was as generous. And make sure that it is glued down well, otherwise it won't stay put and it won't function properly. There's a bit under there as well. There we go. So I do hope that you've liked this project. If you found my instructions difficult to follow, do go over to the website that I mentioned. I've forgotten what the website is called now because I've lost the piece of paper that I wrote it on. But it is in the beginning of this video. And, you know, give her, you know, watch her video as well. And, yeah, I do hope that you'll give it a go and put it inside your journals. I've got 2 lovely ones now to fit in on a page. So all that's left is to decide where I'm going to place them. And yeah, they're gorgeous. Look at that. Lovely. Super duper. Oh, the papers are absolutely stunning. I've got to take the border off this one. So that is it, lovely ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching. And please go over to Rachel and Bella's shop and peruse to your heart's content. And the papers are there for the taking if you want them. So I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you do, and hit the little bell, and that way you will receive notifications of my next video. Please continue and watch till the end of the collaboration, because as I say, if you have liked and if you have liked and commented on all of the videos throughout this month, then you will be put in the draw to win one of the lovely prizes that have been donated. So good luck everybody, and enjoy the rest of the collaboration, and I hope to see you soon. Bye for now. Bye.